Welcome back, everyone, to the Two Brothers podcast, episode 2, with your hosts, Dylan and Ethan. And today we have a pretty special one for you guys, especially if you are one that is into video games. And we will be answering the ultimate question: what kind of gamer are you? But before we get started with this excellent episode, we just want to say that we appreciate all the viewership that we've gotten in our first video. We definitely didn't expect it to reach almost 100 views in the first week, and we really do appreciate it. And, spread it to your friends, spread it to your family if you think that it's great content. Spread it to the coworkers you don't like, even if, that's an option for you.
We got plenty
But
of
we
those.
just, right. But, we just wanted to say that we appreciate it, like and subscribe if you haven't yet, if you just saw it, and just you think the content's right for you. But before we get into this topic here, I just want to ask my main bud over here, my main man Eth, how was your week, man? How are you doing today? What's the energy? Are you excited for the episode? How are you feeling?
Oh yeah, no. So my energy from the week I just had is low, but my excitement for this episode is extremely high. We're obviously talking
Right.
about something that is really important to both of us. But before we get into that, I got a new mic, so I really hope that the quality for the audio is definitely higher than it was last time. I got headphones on. I'm rocked out here, so that really got me excited for this upcoming episode, just to kind of
Right.
see the difference in quality. But no, man, we're talking about video games, and that's our favorite pastime, I'd say. Honestly, that's something that we both do pretty much every day, I would say, honestly. So
Yeah.
pretty excited.
And honestly, this is a little bit beyond video games, because this is kind of diving into us personally, like how we
Mhm.
are with video games, And so also just going off the studio equipment there, I got me a little ring light now. So now the lighting's a lot better. Hopefully the camera looks a lot better. You can see all the roughness in my face. But
To get the quality up there in both audio
right.
and with the visuals as well. So we're working. We're
Yeah.
working.
But nah, man, I'm excited because we have, just a few topics here that we kind of came up with this week, texting back and forth. And I think that's all great, great little things to talk about. And we have like, first games that we played, favorite games, personal gamer journey, if that's the right thing to call it, just how we've, kind of evolved as just playing video games in our pastime. And then we go for like games that we're looking forward to, and we talk about maybe touch a little bit on like physical and digital gaming. I think that that's something I would definitely like to make a future episode about. So maybe just kind of dabble in that, just a small little bit. And then at the very end, answering the ultimate question, what kind of gamer are you if you had to describe yourself? So I think we're in for an exciting one, man. I'm excited.
Absolutely.
People that have come up that have talked to me about the first episode, they loved it, and I'm just excited to make more. This is I mean, clearly, you got headphones, a new mic, I got a ring light. Clearly this is something that we want to try to make a weekly thing, so I'm just
Mhm.
excited.
Yeah,
But
absolutely. One thing before we do get started, though, that really got me excited for the future of this whole thing that we're doing
mhm,
is a lot of the engagement that, at least from what I was getting from people that were watching it, that I talked to that watched it, majority of the engagement came within the first 30 to 45 minutes, which
mhm.
was perfect for me because that's exactly what we're aiming for. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? I know that's almost 2 hour long episode, so I understand people have lives. I get it.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
when I went back and rewatched it, it took me 2 sittings to watch it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I totally understand, but I just really thought that was really awesome. So we can definitely go ahead and get into it, though, man. If you want to discuss your
Yeah,
first kind of games.
we're definitely going to keep this below an hour for sure.
Mhm.
Try not to go off on too many tangents, but we're still new to it. We have no experience in doing anything like this. So it's just we're trying to be as professional I can as much as we can, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. But you like you said, let's get into it. First topic, man. First games. Now, this one, I try to think about it a little bit, and I can definitely remember a couple. I can't really remember the first time I played a video game, but I can kind of remember, like, I have some early memories of like a couple games, like just having them and playing them that I remember. But I want you to start this one off, man. Like,
Okay.
do you remember a very first video game, or do you just remember playing certain games at a certain time? Like, what are you thinking?
Yeah. So I'm kind of in the same boat as you. I don't really remember the first video game that I played, but I think that just comes from us growing up around them. Like
Mhm.
if I ask somebody, who just started playing games when they were a teenager or in middle school, whatever the case is, obviously they're going to know what got them into it. But with
Right.
us, I mean, you know, all of our family was playing games when we were kids. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
the first game though that really, I guess, had a grip on me, I would say, and I think you probably have a similar kind of answer, but it was Pokemon. That was
Fantastic entry.
Yes, that is like the first game that really had a grip on me. And it was
Mhm.
because I think the majority of the friends that we had that played video games, especially in Ohio,
Right.
it was all that. And that's what really got us into
Mhm.
playing video games for a long time because I put hours and hours into those games. So many hours that the
I
battery
still
saves
do. I
slower.
still do.
I still do
Yep.
play it as well. Yep. But that's kind of the first game that had a
Yeah.
huge grip on me.
Funny enough, my answer is the exact same as yours, but more specific because I have a specific, like, just core memory. I just remember for some reason, when we were younger, living in Ohio, the first time we lived in Ohio, I just remember, I don't know where I got this Game Boy Color. I just remember having it. It was a lime green Game Boy Color. Like I just have this core memory. And I just remember the only game I had for it was Pokemon Red version, which if you don't know, which if anybody doesn't know, that's the Pokemon game for the original Game Boy. That's the red cartridge. I just remember having that game, and that was the only game, and that's kind of what got me into just playing just video games because it was I didn't know what the hell I was doing in that game because as a
Mhm.
simpleton, as a simple little kid, that that's a very the first one is very simple compared to the rest of the entries in the franchise, like the gaming franchise of that. But I didn't know what I was doing. I was
It was still
always
a little
losing.
advanced for a kid, like a little
Right.
kid, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I was always losing. I didn't know where to go because, like, it's very simple. It doesn't give you a whole bunch of direction in those first couple generations. So, I was just, yeah, but I liked it so much. And let's be honest here, the graphics haven't aged that well, but I still go back and play it from time to time because it's just, just has that, that grip on me as a child. But I was also going to mention, and we talk about this game a lot, but I think the first big game where it wasn't handheld, it was on a console that I can remember playing that I was just obsessed with was Super Mario Sunshine for the Nintendo GameCube.
Yeah,
That game
absolutely.
had that game is considered like toward the bottom of 3D Super Mario games, which I don't understand because I think that the vibe, the graphics, the setting, the use of the hovering with flood with the water, incredible. That and the soundtrack on that game, I can't express it enough. Incredible. But what are your thoughts on that? Would you say that you feel the same way about it?
So Super Mario Sunshine, I don't really think is a game that I was getting into when I was a kid.
Mhm.
I don't even remember really playing that as a kid. I remember watching
Okay.
you play it and then mom and dad play it. I
Yeah.
remember like a lot of my early memories with video games is either Pokemon or it's watching mom and dad play like whatever game, you know what I'm saying?
SOCOM,
Or watching you
God of
guys, yeah,
War.
SOCOM, God of War, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And what I really think is another game though that had a grip on me as a kid was, and this is so random, but I just have so many memories of um, playing The Sims 2 with our friend Tanner
Yep. Yep.
for hours and
Yeah.
hours playing that game. Like that is
Yeah,
another one that
for the
really
PlayStation
hit
2,
for
right?
me.
That specific
Yeah,
console.
yeah. We played that game for
Yep.
hours and hours, man.
Yeah, I remember, yeah, Sims 2 as well because that game because I feel like that whenever you're younger, I'm gonna say I believe what is that, the sixth generation, which is like PS3, 360, Nintendo Wii, pre sixth generation when it was, GameCube, original Xbox, PlayStation 2, and especially when you're a kid, you can only play what's around you. You don't
Yeah.
have like now that we're adults and we have our own income, I feel like we get flooded with options because now we have the ability to go buy a game if we want.
If it
I
wasn't
and
that Blockbuster, we weren't playing it.
Exactly. If it was at Blockbuster, if it wasn't laying around somebody's house, if it wasn't scraped up underneath the dresser out of the case, it wasn't available. And
Yep.
I think that that's what made gaming as a kid so special is that Like The Sims 2, imagine like if you never played it as a kid, you probably would never buy it today. Like, I probably wouldn't. But because it was what was available, like you get into a game like The Sims 2, and it's like that's the only game of its kind I've ever
You
gotten
have
into.
nothing else to really
Yeah,
like compare to. You're just playing the game you got, and you love it
exactly.
regardless.
Yeah, just like with the Pokemon. Like it was the only game I had for that Game Boy Color. That's it. That's all I had. So whether I liked the game or not, it was all like if I wanted to play something, that was it. So
Never got bored.
yeah, no, The Sims 2, yeah, Sims 2, Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, yeah, the Pokemon games. Um, Super Mario 64, we had that as well. Pokemon
Mhm.
Stadium, we had Crash Bandicoot was another one. Need for Speed, Most Wanted, that's
Yeah.
another early memory right there. Yeah, no, yeah, there's just quite nothing like the childhood memories of playing video games because it was just so simple and you just you no matter how bad the game was, you got into it because it's what you had.
It was a bad game, but it was my favorite game. That's really
Yep.
what it boils
And,
down to as
and
a kid.
honestly, The Sims 2 is considered like the best of the
Mhm.
franchise. I think maybe Sims 3 now, but yeah, man. This kind of just dove into our next little topic here. Discussing favorite games. Do you have like one or two highlights that you would just we're talking peak, like
Yeah,
nothing
yeah,
could top, these one or two or even three games. Like this will
yeah.
always be my favorite.
Yeah. No, I probably got two, maybe three. One of them is more recent. The other two is a little bit older,
Oh, I
I would
definitely know
say.
the recent one. Go ahead.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'll start
Because
with the
I hate this
recent one
game.
then. No. So my favorite game that has kind of like changed the way that I play video games or I approach video games now
Mm,
is Rocket League. That's a game that I play. I mean, I really do play this game every day. Like
right, right,
it doesn't matter if I get up early and I got to go to class and I'm at class for hours and then I have to, come home, shower, get ready for work. Somewhere in there, I'm getting some Rocket League training in. Like I don't care. I love this
grind.
game so much. Yes, the grind is real for that game.
Right.
But I don't want to talk very much about that game just
Mm,
because that's a recent development and that's only my
yeah.
favorite game right now, I would say, because I my I'm not gonna say my love for games has changed, but my motivation to play games has changed. Whereas
Yeah.
when I was a kid, video games were all I had. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that's one of the few things that
We're
I was
adulting.
doing as
We
a
are
kid consistently.
adults.
Exactly, exactly. As sad
Right.
as that might be. But when I was a kid, I will say one of my favorite games is Pokemon Sapphire.
Yep.
So that one specifically, because
Very good.
that's the first one that I really remember beating. So
Yeah.
I know you had Emerald and I
Yep.
had
Still do.
Sapphire.
Still have that original cartridge.
Yeah. And
Mhm.
I that my cartridge is long gone. That cartridge
Yeah.
has been gone for decades now.
I'm sure that cartridge was somebody else's anyways because that's just
Probably.
how it
You're probably
was.
borrowing it.
Yeah.
But
People left games everywhere.
that was my favorite game for a very long time. And that's when I really started to get into like playing games to beat them, not just playing
Yeah.
games to pass the time, playing games to actually like accomplish stuff. Because when you're
Hmm.
just playing games just to play them as a kid, it doesn't like it's a different kind of reward, I guess you could say, when
Hmm.
you're actually playing them to beat them, to follow the story, to understand the game and stuff. Like it connects with you differently, I think.
Yeah. Right.
So I think that's one of them, Pokemon Sapphire, and another one. I had it in my head, but I kind of lost it as I
Well,
was talking.
real quick, while you're thinking of that, I'm going to ask you a quick question just to kind of follow up on the Pokemon Sapphire. You also feel like that Pokemon Sapphire, which is Pokemon Generation 3, you feel like that's the best generation, correct? Or am I
Yes,
thinking
that's my
something else?
personal favorite. That's my personal
Okay.
favorite.
Okay.
Generation 4 is similar. Is like it's a close second, I would say.
Yeah, because
But
that's my
no.
favorite. Generation 4, I would argue, is my favorite.
Hmm.
Because that's when I really got into understanding Pokemon. Um, but yeah, you say you forgot
Yeah,
the third.
but now that I'm thinking about it, I'm I don't want to say it like as my favorite childhood game because I didn't
Right.
really play it till I was more like as an adult. But when I went back and played it though,
Well, this is
it's
just favorite
one of
games
my
in general. It doesn't have to be childhood. It's just,
oh
favorites.
perfect. Then I'm gonna throw Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time in there. I know I've been
I
bugging you
am.
about this game for a long time because you haven't
Yeah.
played it, and that's a sin. I don't care.
I
Anybody
have
who
played it,
watches this
actually.
episode,
I
oh, you
have
haven't
played
you
it. I
haven't
just
you
haven't
haven't played
beaten
it
it.
in depth. You haven't played it in
Yeah.
depth. You haven't
Yeah.
been past the fish.
Right.
Jabu Jabu. Please.
Yeah.
Anybody who knows, who has played this game, who's watching this episode, you can shun him in the comments for not having played this game. I'm trying to get him into it, but it's something that I kind of rediscovered as an adult, and I went back and replayed it, and it easily
Mhm.
became one of my favorite games.
Yeah, I mean, and that's a very popular opinion, for a lot of people because I can only go off of Metacritic here because I do, I follow Metacritic and I look at their reviews along with IGN for like gaming reviews. And Metacritic has Zelda Ocarina of Time as the number one game of all time. It's the only game with a 98 Metascore out of 100.
Well, that's crazy,
And
but
I
it's
could
it's
see
definitely
why,
up there.
without getting off on a tangent, just to get to our next topic or to get to my answer for favorite games. Um, it's because of the time it came out. Because let's be real, the Nintendo 64 at the time was incredible, but hasn't aged well. It's very poorly. It's very like it's not good looking 3D. Poly figures
Yeah,
to say the
but
least.
honestly though, it opened the door for 3D
Right.
gaming, so you can't really expect so
Yeah.
much. But this
But
game itself though holds up, man.
that's what I'm saying. The Legends of Ocarina of Time, I'm excited to play because I have it, and I will play it. I'm just in the middle of some other stuff, but I'm excited to go back and play it because that game doesn't have that effect where it's like, damn, this is old. Like, I don't want to get into this. No, because, and
No,
a
that
lot
game
of
is
things, this,
amazing.
with pretty much all the Zelda entries, the music has it going for it too, the atmosphere. I mean, it's considered a great, the greatest of all time to Metacritic at least. Um, but to get off that tangent there, so for favorite games for me, this definitely is one of those questions where today may be these games, but tomorrow might be these games and some, or maybe some of these I won't even think about. But I also want to answer a current question. Favorite game that I've been playing today, and I'm really big into the multiplayer scene, especially as I gotten older. I love the Fortnite game a lot. I have and it's unfortunate, but probably thousands of dollars invested in that game and cosmetics.
Yeah,
Never
probably.
thought I would do that. But the battle royale, they took out building. It's such a good game. It's so simple. It's the simplest BR that's out right now, so which is good for me. I'm simple minded at the end of the day. So, I love that. That's like a current game that I play a lot that I love. So there's that. But to get into some of my favorite games I've played in the past or replay the most, Pokemon, any Pokemon from Generation 1, probably amongst my favorite. It's not my favorite generation, but like for some reason, like those are like my favorite games. Um, I am into like I love the Spider-Man games, the ones for the PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5. Like I think that Spider-Man 2018 is one of the greatest just games point blank period that I've ever played. I platinumed it. I did everything in that game, got all the suits. There's nothing else for me to do in that game. I completed that game to just completion.
I'm glad that you said that because that was the game I couldn't think of. Spider-Man 2 for the GameCube. That was a game that I
Oh,
played a lot as a
classic. And
kid.
I have that. Yeah, yeah. Spider-Man 2. That I mean, without
I
Spider-Man 2,
loved that
I have like
game.
this itch in my back. But without Spider-Man 2, we don't have, Spider-Man for, the PS4 or 2018, Spider-Man 2018. So but definitely going with that. And I'm just gonna name one more just so that you don't go too off into the distance here. But another game that I would consider my favorite. I mentioned it earlier, but I am going to say Super Mario Sunshine. I have beaten that game probably a total of 5 times, but I'll just go back and it's just got one of those soundtracks, man. It's got one of those, just one of those vibes where if I just don't want to think, I kind of just want to like run around and just jump around and like jump off walls and stuff. I'll just put in Sunshine in my Switch because I have the remastered and just listen to the music and run around and maybe try to get some shines I haven't gotten that are like side sprites or whatever. But
I find it
yeah,
crazy that that game did not have a good reception when it came out because that game
yeah,
is so fun and I love
yeah,
playing it now.
and that was the definitive 3D Mario, the only 3D Mario for that generation. So that was it. Like, it wasn't like
Yeah.
now where you're getting a couple Mario games, every year or 2 years or so. Like, that was it.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, those are just a couple of my favorites currently right now. There's a lot more that I could get into that I have, I like all kinds of games. So, because like the Uncharted series, I didn't even mention that, but those are some of my
Oh
favorite games of all
man,
time.
we
God of
played
War,
those a lot as a kid.
yeah, God
GTA,
of War
obviously.
franchise. Yeah, GTA 5 specifically for me, the older Call of Duties were so good. Um, but this next topic here, this is something that I can't wait to hear what you have to say about it because I'm going to tell you something like that I just remember, growing up. But personal gamer journey, and you can kind of talk about this how you want, how you interpret that phrase. But I just remember, like, right now, and I get it, we're adults, but right now, like you said, you play the Rocket League. You're definitely considered, casual when it comes to playing video games by like the community. I would say, same as me. I would say I'm casual, but I just remember a time where like for example, the original Super Mario Bros. For the original Nintendo, 1985. I just remember a time, man, where you could not put that game down because you were going to beat that game, and you
Yeah,
deep dove. You knew all the warps. You knew how to get there. You knew the tricks. You knew how to beat that game, but you just couldn't beat it until finally you were beating it with ease. And I just remember you like that. I would consider that a grind because that's no easy
yeah,
game. It's easier for that generation, but it's not like you still have to beat it, right? So I just wanted to point that out before you go on about how you feel like you've evolved because I just remember when you were a grinder for
yeah.
single player
I don't
games or
know.
like for specific games.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I feel like for my own personal kind of journey with it, it starts obviously with us being kids and being surrounded by people playing games. So
Mhm.
obviously our parents, and then you had a pretty big impact on me playing games as well. Obviously, we played a lot of the same stuff, or
Mhm.
if not, if you got a new game, I would kind of play the older game or whatever, stuff like
Mhm.
that. So obviously, we're kind of directly related in that sense, but seeing games and stuff. And I mean, I have memories of me, you, mom, dad, Elijah, and Lucas being a baby, and we're all sitting in the living room in Huntsville watching them play God of War 3. It just came out. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? As brutal as that game is, like
Yeah,
we're all
elementary
we're
school
all loving
kids.
it. Yeah, but we're all loving it because we know it's just a game. You know what I mean? It's just
Yeah,
a
yeah, we
game at
could
the end of the
separate.
day and stuff. Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
So, but it goes from that to actually getting into games, like the first games we kind of started playing with Pokemon, and, The Sims, stuff like that. Just very simple stuff.
Mhm.
And then it obviously evolved farther into kind of finding your own wave of things that you like to play. Getting into like the later Pokemon games, getting into playing Call of Duty and stuff like that, multiplayer games with your friends and stuff. I would say that during like early high school, I was more into the single player games at that point. I played The
Mhm.
Last of Us, which was great. I played some of the Uncharted games, which were
Well, I feel
great.
like you also went on kind of a retro kick where you were playing the
So I,
very old games,
mhm.
like
So
pre 2000.
that came when we found out about emulators and
Yep.
emulation and how we were able to actually use that for because I'd always heard of these games like the original Super Mario Bros. I had never played it, but I had heard of it. So
Mhm.
obviously, when we found out about emulation and stuff, that really like kicked open the door
Mhm.
for our availability for these other games that we know about but have never actually played.
Yep, like
So that's
Contra,
when I started.
Punch-Out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Played the old NES games. I played a lot of the more popular titles. I got a lot. Like I got really, really, really into Game Boy Advance games because
Yep.
I had a Game Boy Advance as a kid, but I only had two games. I had Pokemon and probably like I don't know Monkey Ball or something. I don't know,
Yeah.
but I
One of
really
those Super
got
Mario
into
Advance games.
right, right. But I really got into the Game Boy Advance console way after it had already been released.
Mhm.
And I mean, I was playing games like Metroid Fusion, which is just great. I played Zelda Minish Cap, which was obviously
Mhm.
great. I played all the Pokemon games, which was
You also went
great.
on a Link's Awakening kick as well.
Yeah, I did play
which
that one
that's
as
a game that you
well.
need to go back and beat, my guy. You have a Switch with the Super Nintendo membership because you were close. You never got
Mhm.
there.
Yeah, I need to beat that one. I need to, man, I really I gotta get back into the Zelda, man, because those are some of my favorite games. They're
Oh
a
yeah.
grind to play, but they're some of my favorite games. But I feel like as we got older, it became more towards like a competitive gaming kind of thing with us, which
Yeah.
obviously I feel like that happens as you get older and stuff. You become a
Mhm.
teenager and you got brothers and stuff. So
Well, and
Smash
we got
is
access to the
huge.
internet, online gaming.
Yeah. Oh, that's yeah, huge, huge. I
Mhm.
mean, a lot of our friends, like that's how we connected with a lot of our friends. That's how we stay connected to some of our friends even now.
Mhm.
So, playing online games and stuff has kind of molded me into a more like a competitive gamer. Like I like to play
Mhm.
competitive games, which is why Rocket League is so like fun for me to play because that's what I really, really am into now. But I mean, I guess I just kind of took a pretty, I think it's a pretty normal path for a lot of people. You kind of just get introduced to games, not knowing what you're doing. You fall in love with them, and then you figure out what you really
Right.
like to do, and that's what you stick with. So,
Right, right. And may I just say, a damn good Rocket League player.
mm,
The grind paying off. Well, you're
I'm not
good
up to
compared to
my,
me.
I'm not up to
So
my own standards yet.
nah, but like I said, man, I had to message you about just grinding the hell out of Super Mario Bros. Because I just remember watching you. Because like whenever you're the older brother, like you never want to say your siblings are better than you at video games when you're a kid. Now
Right.
it's different. So just I was impressed, even if I didn't show it, just seeing that you could figure out because I know how to get to the end of the game, but I can't beat it. I can't get to the final level on the final world. I can get to the final world, but I still can't do it. I'm sure I
Hmm.
could if I grinded, but I didn't, but I don't know. I enjoy watching people grind like simple games like that. But I figure, because like you're just so now, just being an adult and everything, just only playing one game. I just remember when you would just put hours into just a game that simple. So it's just
Yeah.
crazy to see that.
And I
Um,
didn't mention it, and I'll be super quick about it, but there was a small, like I said that you obviously have a pretty big impact on me,
mhm,
like when it comes to games and stuff. There was a small moment there for like I'd say like a good like maybe year and a half, where I kind of got into my retro gaming collection kind of thing,
yeah,
kind of similar to what you had, not nearly to the extent that you have it, but
yeah, because
I
you had
had
a
my
Game Boy with a
N64.
light.
I had my Game
Hello.
Boy, the original Game Boy with the glow lamp, and I had a lot of games for that. I traded all
Yeah.
that in, ended up getting a bunch of N64 games that I really liked. But I've kind of faded out of that, collecting portion of it. I
Mhm,
still do like to go out and see stuff like that. That's why whenever
yeah.
I visit you or whenever you visit me, we always just kind of make that, a focal point is to go out and
Mhm.
find those retro games and really kind of get into that nostalgia. I think that's what it all breaks down to.
Well, I've been
So
telling you, you should. I think you still should collect, especially now. You got a slightly bigger apartment. I think that even if you just start out small, just getting the games that like you just played as a kid, because that's how my collection started. Was just buying stuff that I played as a kid. I never sought to like have the greatest collection, which I'm far from it, obviously. But like my collection's only grown because once I got the games I played as a kid, I would watch videos on games I've never played, and I piqued my interest, so I would go buy them. But
yeah, that original GameCube collection that you started was a wild grind.
yeah, because I went from, ordering stuff off the internet on my Waffle House paycheck to
Hmm.
now I have a couple of the grails for that console now. Like a couple of
Yeah.
the big boys, you know. Of course that came with a lot of fighting with Lily, but we'll just move past that. Uh But for me, my personal gamer journey is definitely, I would say very similar to yours, but with a slight difference in the middle there. So, I'm just gonna kind of breeze past like the origin and everything because I just started out, family, we were exposed to video games very young because like our mom and dad play video games. So, you know, but fast forwarding, to like late elementary, early middle school, that's when we got exposed to like the online gaming. So I got really into like online gaming, stopped playing single player pretty much altogether, really just played heavy online multiplayer with friends. Fast forward to high school, same exact thing, playing a lot of GTA Online, playing, the Call of Duty and everything online, playing, some single player games here and there, but really just online. And then, freshman year of college, I get into the streaming. And I think that was just one of those things where, like, I was a freshman in college. I was, purposely and like volunteering myself to not have a job because I worked so much in high school, when I was done playing sports, that I just wanted to like take like a break. I was like, I just kind of want to try this out, and this is like when Ninja got big, when streaming was starting, when video games were starting to become like mainstream, So,
Hmm.
I mean, you watch the streams, the streams, and
Well, without those streams, we wouldn't be here, buddy.
oh yeah, if you are an original subscriber to the YouTube channel I streamed on, this is that channel. I just renamed it to what we're doing now, you
Rebranded.
know. So shout out. But yeah, so the streaming was just something, man, that, I've always thought about like going back into, but this is perfect for me because it's just once a week, and we're adults now working full time, so I got to support, you know, a living situation. You have two dogs, I have two dogs. It's a lot, but
It is, yeah.
went from streaming to a very small audience to then now where I collect more than anything. I still play like games, like the Fortnites and stuff, but it's really just to socialize more than anything. And I'll dabble in some single player games. Like I just bought the new Spider-Man. Um, but like for me now, man, it's more like of a hobby for me. Like I collect like my game room. I would love to do like a game room like tour one day. But like, I
No, I would
collect
love to
stuff.
see it. And
Yeah.
I know you've trimmed down as well. You've trimmed down, but you still have a crazy collection.
Yeah, I've trimmed down to get grails though. It's all everything that I've gotten rid of in my game room has been put toward the game room. So, but yeah, that's pretty much it for me. Like I said, the biggest highlight in my gaming journey is the streaming because I did really enjoy that. I had a lot of fun, met some people. Obviously not nearly to the extent of like someone who could live off it, but
Mhm.
still had a lot of fun with it.
Well,
Um,
now I think games now for me especially, I play games a lot of the times now, obviously for my own enjoyment, but it's really just to kind of stay connected with you and Elijah and some of our friends and stuff because life
yeah,
gets really busy, man. Like
yeah,
the days are just going by so fast. I mean, like I used to think an 8-hour school day was a lifetime, but now
yeah.
it's like 8 hours can go by in a couple minutes of what it feels like.
Mhm.
So to kind of stay connected with you guys and make sure we're still kind of having that relationship that we have been
Mhm.
building since we were kids, I feel like that games, even though it's just games, like it's really not to me. Like it really
Yeah.
keeps me connected to you guys, which I cherish, I will
Well,
say.
and this is another thing too, and this is for anybody watching this that either doesn't play video games or they, they clown on people that do. Let me tell you guys something, man. Just like with anything, video games is just an escape from reality.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's all it is.
Because when you go to work for 8 to 9 to 10 hours, depending on what kind of day you're having, when you go to work for majority of your day, you just want to come home, you get done with like your chores, responsibilities for the house, whatever you got to do, and you just want to kick back and just forget about the stressful day you had at work or the bad interaction you had with somebody today at a store, or if you're having car problems like I do every other day, you just want to forget that engine light is turned on and has been turned on for the last 6 months. You know what I mean? You want to forget those things.
Just turn your radio up, buddy. You'll be all right.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So video games, I've always stuck with it because one, the socialization, but two, I just want to like just put on my headphones, play something that's completely fake, but in that moment it's real for me, and just chill out, man. It's good for my mental health.
Absolutely.
Video games get a bad rap, whether it's because they think it whether people think it promotes violence or because they think, oh, like that's such a
It's a
waste of
waste of
time.
time.
Well, let me
It's
tell you,
not to me.
working is a waste of time. Anyways, I
Feeding into the
digress.
corporate machine.
Yeah, I digress. Making pennies on the dollar over here to afford a house in the slums. No, I'm playing.
24
Um,
million, buddy.
but moving on to our second to last topic here, and this is something that I this is a topic in today's in today's world. And this is something that me and you have talked about briefly. I would definitely love to do an episode deep diving more into this, but I figure I bring it up in today's episode. And that is physical gaming and digital gaming. And
Right.
quick little definition between the two. Physical, I would say you're digital and I'm physical.
Absolutely.
That
100%.
is I'll use us as an example for this. For me, like I said, mentioned earlier, I collect video games. I have a game room. I have a collection. I buy the physical media, the case, the manual, the disc itself, put it in the console. My brother over here, on the other hand, he has a console that takes discs, but he will buy them digitally on the store, whether it's the PlayStation Marketplace or, he mentioned emulation earlier. If it can be emulated, he's just going to emulate it,
Yep.
which nothing wrong with that at all. But I just think it's funny because we're both gamers, but we buy or play video games sort of kind of a different way. You know what I mean? So,
Hmm.
how do you feel about the digital landscape of gaming and just, do you think that there will eventually be a day where we don't have any more physical media to buy inside like a Walmart or a Target? Because
Yeah.
Best Buy is getting rid of digital media
No,
or
I definitely
physical media,
think
I mean.
that that's kind of the direction that we're headed, and I honestly think that it comes down to the fact that games that like physical hardware deteriorates, right? So with that comes the value deteriorates as well.
Right.
So with a physical game, if it's like, let's say GTA 5 physical copy, how much would that run you?
If it's just a regular edition, we'll just go with the PS4 version. Probably 15 to $20 off the top of my head. I don't know for sure,
Right.
but I would say
15
15
to
to 20
20,
bucks.
right around there, right? The
Mm-hmm.
digital version of that game, from what I know of, I mean, it can go on sale for prices like that, but a lot of times the digital copies will stay,
Mm-hmm.
at a higher price, which is
Mm-hmm.
better for these companies. So let's just say Sony decided to go fully digital tomorrow and everything was on the
Mm-hmm.
PlayStation Store. That is, well, now that I'm thinking about it, that might not happen anywhere in the near future just because that would create a monopoly, I believe, right? Or that would just
Mm-hmm.
involve Sony would basically have total control over the prices of their games. They could
Right.
do games at $100 if they wanted to, and you can't say anything about it because there's no other way for you to buy it. You have
Mm-hmm.
to buy it digitally.
Well, and I feel like
So
that they got to have contracts with some of these retailers, right? Like, think of a
yeah,
GameStop. We're not even talking about secondhand markets like a local game store. We're talking GameStop, a corporation who gets these brand new games. If you take out physical media, GameStop's just going to be selling pop figures and T-shirts.
yeah, pretty much, yeah.
So,
But I just feel like for me, digital gaming is just more convenient. I buy games on my, PS5. That's what I
yeah,
play mainly. I buy them on there, and I never have to worry about if they don't got it. I don't have to worry about anything.
yeah,
I'll always have it. It's tied to my account, no matter what. And
mm-hmm.
I like that just because I don't always trade in games. I used to, but I don't trade in games as much anymore because I don't play a whole lot of games anymore. I'm very consolidated with my gaming
Yeah,
selection of what I choose to play. So with that, digital gaming just comes more naturally for me. It's just more convenient for what I like to do and for
mm-hmm.
my own, purchases and stuff. But somebody like you, I totally understand because you purchase games for a totally different reason as to what I do. A lot of the
Mm-hmm.
times, like we both purchase games to play them, but there's also more meaning behind you purchasing a game. Like let's say if it's for like a retro console, for example. Like me, I'm okay with playing Super Mario Land 2, the Golden Coins on my Nintendo Switch
On
as
an
an
emulator,
emulation. I'm
basically.
totally cool
Mm-hmm.
with that. Whereas you will play it like that, but if you see that physical copy and that's something you really want, you'll buy it.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas I won't. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's a good point because there are a couple games I have digitally, but I only have them digitally because I already have them physically. Because I will say it is convenient for it to all just be on the home screen and you don't have to like swap out the disc, things like that. But there is something about putting that disc in the console that just gets me. I don't know what it is, just the action. But anyways, moving on from
There have
that.
been a few times when I'm like, "Hey, Dill, when are we gonna play this game?" You're like, "I'm gonna go out and get a physical copy in the next couple
Yep,
days." I'm
Rocket
like, "Bro,
League
just get
before
it on
before
the."
Rocket League
Yeah, that's
before
one.
Rocket League was bought by Epic and before it became free on the store, I had to buy it. You had to pay for it. So I went out and bought it. I still have, but that's an example. When a game is free, like Rocket League, that's just a perfect example. I have Rocket League downloaded on my console. I don't have to go get the disc for it because it was free. I didn't have to spend extra money to get it digitally, you know? So like, or like, the PlayStation Plus free games. Like one of them was the
Hmm.
Uncharted collection. So like I had the Uncharted collection on my console digitally because it was free for me for my membership, but I have a physical, and so I do enjoy not having to switch out the disc. But I feel good that I can see it on my shelf.
I feel
It's just
like
something about
those.
it.
I feel like that's a good point you just mentioned with those like the Xbox Game Pass and the PlayStation Plus
Hmm.
subscription. That really like bridges the gap between digital
Right.
and physical because at the end of the day, they make it out to be like you have to pay this subscription in order to play your games online with your friends and this and that. But
Hmm.
as a bonus, like you get these monthly games that you can download and they're yours as long as you have a subscription with us, like they're yours forever. So I feel
Yeah.
like that might have actually transitioned people over to being fully digital with their games, and we know that that's a popular market because if that wasn't, then the PlayStation 5 would not have a digital only console. But
Exactly.
obviously they're seeing some success in that market. So, and obviously with storage systems being bigger and bigger and cheaper to produce, like I wouldn't be surprised if here soon in the next like maybe decade or so, a 30 terabyte console is just the norm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the games are maxing out at like 700 gigabytes, and like that's nothing. You can
Hmm.
download so many digital games when you have that big of a hard drive. So I definitely think
Yeah.
that's being pushed in that way. So.
And I think another like worry that people have when it comes to digital gaming is, well, what if something happens to my account? I lose all that. When it's physical, you have it forever. And
True.
also I think people are like think like, well, you know, like for example, you play like the retro Nintendo games on a subscription. PlayStation Plus games that they give you for free are still technically on a subscription. Game Pass is a subscription. Like sometimes people are like, man, I need to cut a monthly payment out. I'm gonna cut out one of my game ones because that's like not an important monthly payment that I need to cut that I need to
Hmm.
keep. So you lose all because even with the PlayStation Plus subscription, even if I download the game and claim it, if I'm not active on PlayStation Plus for the membership, it won't let me down. It'll let me download it, but it won't let me play. It won't let me open it because I'm not active. Same with the
Yep.
Nintendo Switch emulators. If
Yep.
it literally says checking account before it even puts you in the app, like there's a little loading
Yep.
screen. So I think that there are the perks, like for you, someone who's like, I just want it digitally because I don't care to like just go out and buy the physical version. I'm very casual, I'll pay subscriptions. Like it's definitely perfect for that. But then for me, I'm actually okay with that too because I have PlayStation Plus because you need to play online. But like like I said, I will play games digitally if I just don't feel like, because sometimes it's cheaper to play digitally. Like for example, Earthbound, I'll just use that as an example. Earthbound for the Super Nintendo, I can play right now. Right now, at this very moment, I can play it with, my Switch. Or do I say, well, I want the physical, I want to play it. That's a $500 game.
Yeah, the accessibility for some titles is really just out of
Yeah.
reach. You know what I mean? For
Hmm.
a lot of stuff. So I could see the
Yeah,
digital
but
appeal.
I want to kind of save that because I do think that like in a future episode, this could be something that we really talk about, like,
It'd be
future
fun.
and
I would like to do
predictions.
some
Yeah.
research on it as well, kind of
Yeah,
see where we're
because
headed
like
with
I
that.
said, Best Buy now this is not video games just yet, but I think it's coming. This is just for movies. They are completely starting in 2024, January 2024, ditching DVD, Blu-ray, 4K movies physically altogether from all their stores.
Mm,
Not just like certain franchises that are owned. No, completely, nationwide. So when you walk in, if you see a movie, like for me now, I'm probably gonna start going to Best Buy because I'm assuming they're gonna start putting some of that stuff on sale,
right.
which is perfect for anybody that collects, by the way. Always take advantage of like the sales. But yeah, anyways, I just wanted to kind of put that out there that they're already kind of starting that trend of, we're gonna go no physical media. And Target's kind of starting to do the same thing. Man, you go to the movie aisle in Target, it is bare bones. Same with the video
Yeah.
game aisle. Like, remember
Yeah.
when Walmart back in the day when you could play the console, like they had full bookshelf cabinets full of games. And it's not
Yeah.
like that no more. It's a tiny little like rectangle now.
Hmm.
So, but anyways, because we are approaching the 45-minute mark, we're doing really good on time here.
I
We're going
think
to get
so
into
too.
the final question of the episode here, and you can kind of answer this in your own way. But what kind of gamer are you? the whole grand finale question here, the name of the episode.
So for me, I would just say that I'm I'm a casual gamer, but I really think that it just goes beyond it just being a video game for me. I kind of touched on it, earlier when we were
Mm-hmm.
talking about it, but I don't think I'll ever stop playing games completely. I mean, my taste will obviously change as more games come out and more genres are developed and stuff like that. But really, man, video games just keep me connected to, you, Elijah, even Lucas a little bit, a lot of
So
my
these people that
friends.
he's naming, by the way, that he's named throughout this whole episode, these are our other siblings, our other brothers.
Yes,
Go
yes,
on.
my brothers. And though that is just something in my life that is really, really, it's just really, really important to me. I think that, you know, just how we grew up, we are very, we're all very close. Like, it's just being siblings, going through some of the stuff that we were kind of going through as a kid, moving around a lot and not, having a lot of stable stuff. I think that video games kind of became a way to cope with a lot of stuff that was going on as a kid. And that's transitioned into my adulthood because
Mm-hmm.
my stresses now are 10 times what they were. And I still play games to kind of get out of that headspace and really connect with the people that I care about most, which is obviously you guys. So playing video games for me is just it's more than just playing games and having fun. It's really keeping my relationship with you guys alive and healthy and what I really want it to be. So
Yeah. Well said, man. Well said. Yeah. So I would say the kind of gamer that I am, without going too much into it, definitely a physical collector. Like I said, right behind me here in the darkness is a whole physical game collection that I've been
we're
collecting for years
definitely gonna
now.
have to make an episode on that.
Yeah.
Gotta see it.
So definitely that. But yeah, just definitely I would say casual at heart because I don't compete in video games. I just play it for fun, escape from reality. Keeping just like you said, just keeping close with family and friends, and just the kind of gamer I am is just one that just wants to have a good time. I don't want to take anything too serious. I just want to enjoy my time. And I always encourage. I work with like older coworkers who, their kids. They play video games and they're like, yeah, he's asked me for this game, but I just don't know. And I'm like, trust me, like obviously encourage like school activities, being, physically active with like going outside.
Video
Like
games are
always,
still a privilege.
because
Yes.
we still had like outdoor childhoods. Like we were still outside.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? But, definitely keep it as a privilege. But I always say like just because it's labeled as a video game, like I would not just automatically decline it. Like, like I don't know if the kids are doing all right, then encourage the escape from reality because life only gets more stressful as you get a little bit older. That's why they call it a midlife crisis because even in the middle of your life, you're going to go through a crisis, and
Yeah.
we go through little crises every day and everything. So yeah, like I said, just kind of gamer I am, just one that just wants to play and have fun and just continue that escape from reality from time to time. So. But
I'm there with you.
anyways, man, I feel like that this was a great little chat, great little, we kept it under an hour, I think we
Yeah.
did pretty
No, the
good.
timing is great. We definitely we dove into ourselves more on like a personal level and kind of like
Hmm.
talking about just who we are kind of as people and what we get out of games and stuff. But even beyond that, like we're just really, for me personally, I'm just really like happy
Hmm.
how games have kind of kept our relationship as brothers, just even just me and you.
Yeah.
Because when we were young, I mean, obviously, when you're a kid, you don't like your siblings all the time. Like it is what it is.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? That
Hmm.
relationship is just a kid. It's just a kid brother relationship. It is what it is. But
Yeah.
as you get older and stuff, no, I'm really really happy how our relationship has evolved and really gotten pretty close over the past few years. And video games definitely have
Yeah.
a big role in that. So
Yeah. Because we live two different parts of the country. So that's kind of like how we talk. Really, it's like socialized, but then the game's in the background, kind of.
Yeah, that's exactly what it
But
is. Yeah, for
yeah,
sure, man.
but I think that's a great note to leave it on. Yeah,
If you watch this video, I want you to comment the first three video games that you remember playing.
yes.
Whether
Comment the
that's
first
Pac-Man, whether
three.
that's Prince of Persia, whether that's Minecraft, whatever it is.
Yeah, also, definitely answer the question of the episode. What kind of gamer are you? We had almost 100 views, but only a couple comments. Man, we definitely want everyone to just be engaged. Kind of create a community a little bit. We will respond
Don't
to your
think your
comments.
comment's gonna get lost. We're we're
Right,
we're
right.
not we're not
In
talking
our
about
very
drops
small
into the
channel.
ocean here. Yeah, we're gonna
Yeah.
see them. I promise.
Right. But yeah, definitely spread the channel if you think that there's somebody that would enjoy this kind of content. We're just two casual dudes, just two brothers, just having discussions about, entertainment in
Whatever.
general.
Yeah.
So I don't have nothing else to leave off with, unless you do. But if you don't, then
No,
yeah, just like and subscribe, and we'll see you next week, hopefully for the next episode.
absolutely.